Welcome, everybody, to the council meeting in Morgan City. Let's see, Dave, will you give us the pledge, and Tony, can you offer us a prayer?
I can do.
All raised. Repeat after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, as we convene our city council meeting this night, and take this opportunity we have to express our thanks and gratitude unto thee for all the blessings that we enjoy and that was bestowed upon us. We're thankful for this freedoms we enjoy. We're grateful for this community in which we live and the peace which we have here in this community, peace and unity which we enjoy. We're grateful, Father, for the opportunity which we have of serving our constituents, and we're grateful for their trust in us. And Father, please bless us that we might always be able to maintain that trust. We might always act in a way according to thy will. We might always act in a fair and equitable way and do those things which would be for the benefit of our community and for those. Father, we're grateful for our servicemen, those who protect our country, and we're thankful for them and for their service, and we're grateful for those who have given their ultimate sacrifice for us. And please help us that we might always remember them and always lay them for us. Father, we're grateful again unto thee for all which thou hast blessed us with, and we ask that we might have thy spirit to be with us this evening, to guide and direct us. And we say these things in the name of thy son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I woke up the other day just as the sun came over the hill, and I got the shivers with so much gratitude for where we live. With what's going on in the world, I thought, my goodness.
I thought maybe you said you had the flu.
No, no, nothing but just the opposite.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to approve the meeting's agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Tony, a second from Jeff to approve tonight's meetings. Let's move on to the consent agenda. What's that?
We want to vote on that one in favor.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Sorry.
Got
it. Okay, so everybody had a chance to look over the minutes of August 22nd and the warrants from 9/8/23 to 10/6/23. And is there any comment?
I have one question. Is Jake with us? He's not here tonight. Okay. I don't know, it may fall to Gary, on page 4 of the August 22nd minutes, it's page 10 of the agenda items that Denise sent out. Towards the bottom, Jake was talking about the parks and the size of the parks. And then in the middle of the paragraph there at the bottom, he said all the streets would be public streets and any alleys or common space would be the responsibility of the HOA. So I'm just wondering, is that just a general statement? And maybe Gary helped me understand, or from just a mixed residential overlay, or are the streets generally public?
They can be either.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Smaller substandard streets are private, but we changed our ordinance some time ago. Indicate that now they're the same size, they have to be the same size as the great code.
Yeah, I think it was a general statement, and I think the intent was just to say that we're not going to own the common property. So, once you do some density and do your parking and that sort of thing, it's not on a public street anymore, but that nothing precludes it from being a 100% HOA own streets and everything else. I think that's just a general statement he made.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the ordinance, so
Right.
it's not going to be binding, but just
Sure.
wanted to,
One of the biggest concerns are streets all the way through. You know, streets that connect one public street to another. I know that lately we've got a lot of problems with that. Where they put a private street in between.
Mhm.
So
Gotcha.
we're probably.
Probably looking at it just on a case by case basis, I suppose. And then, you know, wasn't clear if he was speaking to the park arrangements. Because the first part of the paragraph is talking about parks. And again, the size of the development and so forth. Well, if that was his statement, it's a statement. We'll move forward. That's all I had.
I have a quick question on the warrants, and I mean, it's. So on page 3. Parkinson Corporation, so expense and a bio barge boat for air diffusers, I'm guessing, is that right? Is that down at the lagoons? Is that what that is?
The boat, yeah.
Polaris? No,
Oh,
Parkinson Corporation. Okay. So a bio barge boat for the air diffuser, so that's just literally a boat.
Yeah,
They
just a,
install those there.
Mhm.
Okay.
just a duck boat. But, let me look at the invoice just to make sure.
Oh, I
correct.
was just curious. I'm not questioning anything.
Oh, okay.
Do we own a boat or do
Yeah.
you rent it?
No, we own a boat down there. And before it was a little John boat. This one's just a little bit
Mhm.
more sturdy. So the problem is you have to get out on the edges when they string them. And so they're hung, the diffusers hang down about 6 inches off the bottom.
Okay.
And if you adjust them, you just have to, you can just go out on the boat and adjust their depth and maintain them and whatnot.
So is that their bio barge, Parkinson's bio boat, bio?
Barge,
Bio barge.
Yeah. is
I
that
think
theirs?
so. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I would assume. so.
Yeah, they came out to, what they were doing was a little beyond what our boat does.
Okay. I think he's just curious.
Yep.
I assume that's probably right.
Okay, do we entertain a motion?
Mayor, I'd move to approve the city council and planning commission joint work meeting minutes of August 22nd. City council meeting minutes of the same date and the warrants from 9/8 to 10/6 of 23.
We have a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. And Denise, I don't see any citizen comments or anybody on?
No.
Okay. Let's go to the active agenda then. And that is, let me get to it here. The certification of annex petition for 54.36 acres of property located at approximately 555 West Old Highway, 936 North, 700 East, 1075 North, 700 East, and 1050 North, 600 West. This was requested by Lisa C. Priest. Is everybody familiar where we're at? Okay, is there any discussion?
Mayor, when I looked at the staff notes on this, there was just two things that sort of caught my attention. I'll just mention it.
Green light.
And it's down in his concerns. It's on concerns, it's a fourth bullet point. He says the county may want the city to annex the road east of I-84. This road's significant repairs. It may need complete reconstruction. cost could be a burden if owned by the city. So we're talking about the portion from the interstate up to 700 East, right? That piece of road right there, okay. And it is, I took a little ride and it's pretty bad. So do we sort of inherit that if we annex that property? Is that how that works? So
Yeah.
that would become ours, correct?
Yeah, and then any future improvements could be at the point of development. So if it comes with curb gutter sidewalk or needs widened, but as is, we'll just take it
Yeah, it's
as it is because this isn't the point of development. But the other thing is we have contributed to the maintenance of that road because we use it
right
more than any other
for access to the sewer.
county resident. Yeah, and that's quite heavy use. So even though it is a burden, it's probably appropriate for it to be our cost.
So a legal question though, Gary, would that be an unnecessary exaction if we ask a developer to bring it up to standards? Or should it be done now before we accept it?
Well, you can do it either way, but we've got the developer at a point where if he wants to develop the property and the rest of that will be developed at some point, it's proportional to what he's going to put in there, what he or she's going to put in there. Because that's a very, very big parcel that will probably provide for a number of units. And so to have them improve the road down to that point would probably be a appropriate exaction.
An
That's
appropriate
what
one?
our thinking is, I think,
At the point of development
at the point of development.
and not. I mean, we could ask for it as part of the annexation, but without the development, we don't know what to design to
And the other
as far as
problem is that-
entrances and,
I see.
you know what I mean, like stub outs, entrances and curb gutter sidewalk, storm drain has to be considered and that is half the road on whatever half gets developed. But at the point of development is probably the most appropriate time I would say.
And normally you have an annexation that is in conjunction with a rezone and a subdivision that's coming in.
Mhm.
But in this case, we have a contractual commitment to go ahead and annex those properties in their existing homes. So to impose on them the exaction of, without any development there, of developing that road, it would probably be, it would be excessive, even though it's an annexation, we could do it. It would probably be, I think it'd probably be very, very difficult for those homes to afford to put that in without development driving it.
So
Well,
that,
wouldn't it fall to the county to bring it up to standard before we'd accept it?
Yes, but there, I'm willing to bet that you will be forever waiting for the county to put that standard.
Fair enough, but nonetheless, let's just turn the table a little bit and suppose there was a developer coming along at the same time. And we said to that developer, that road's in, big disrepair, you need to pay for that as well as what you're doing. Could he object to that? Well, no, it's unnecessary because it should have been up to speed. It is, you took it on.
So as long as it's a governmental purpose and what we're asking for is related to the impact that subdivision is causing. And there's some rough proportionality between the two, roughly equal to the impact that's being caused. We're okay to ask for that. And I think just about any development is going to create that scenario where it's going to be roughly proportional, and certainly it's necessary for the impact that subdivision is going to cause on that road. So I think we're good.
Yeah.
On that.
And that's a great point too, though, that both of you make. And that is what level would you, you can't ask to bring it up to a level. Number one, if you don't know what it's going to be, but number two, even I guess the potential is there a level higher than it should be also.
so
Thank you, Tony. Sorry.
so so then my next question sort of dovetails into that one a little bit. So that road I was just talking about from the interstate up to 700 East, what are they calling it? 1100 North. Okay. So where does our sewer main go to down there, Ty?
The corner.
Right there at the corner.
The bottom corner, yeah.
It's down here.
Oh, no,
No, up on 7. Does it come up? Does it come in?
right there where your
Okay.
finger.
where does the water main come to?
The water's not down there. The water's up on 700 East.
Up here?
And they already currently have water service to the
They-
existing homes.
They do?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So,
So we just replaced that line 3 years ago.
Okay.
Or that same year we did 100, that main right here, 100 north. Yeah. When we did
Yeah,
100 north, we
yeah.
also did, it used to be like a 2-inch lateral and we replaced it with a main to service all of those homes.
so it, and now I'm going to refer to bullet point 5 for just a second. It says, connection to sewer water main may be necessary for a building permit for new construction. I would, should that say may be necessary or we would require that?
So it's just based on the development and the impact on the current water main. We do have a water main up there, but it's just saying depending on the development that happens, they might be required to put in or upsize their own water main.
And I guess here's really the question I'm asking. So we're not going to get ourselves in a situation with this annex where somebody wants to build a home along here that we're going to have to decide whether or not we are going to allow them to build without a sewer connection or a water connection to the city, right?
Right, it's all available.
Because we don't want to get into that scenario again with any new development.
Right. This one actually helps take us out of that scenario where everybody's in the city and at the point of development, they just have to grab the utilities and bring them to themselves. So.
And I guess that was really my question right there. I just don't want to set us up in the future for having to decide, are we gonna let somebody, now have a septic tank or not hook on?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So on that number 5, Tony, I'm not sure I understand what the concern was of the engineer. If we're asking them to connect to the sewer and water, that's what we would do with anybody in the city. Why would that be a concern to him? Homeowners may hesitate to pay the impact and connection fee associated with these services.
Yeah, that was essentially the
Why
sentence.
is that a concern to him?
Sentence I
Yeah,
read as
it's-
well, and that's kind of got me a little bit.
It's just
nervous.
in there. It's just in their court. He's just saying it's probably, it could be one of those things of,
They wouldn't hesitate any more than any other
No.
request in the city, right?
Well, my point is we're going to make them do,
yeah,
we're not going to, I don't think we want to get in a position where we're going to continue to let people.
I mean, there may be,
so I think
could there be excessive expense because
Well,
of distance?
distance. So I think that's all he's saying is because the sewer's at the very bottom of that property and the water's at the top of that property.
Yes.
If you want to call it that it could be viewed as, hey, that's more than,
Typical.
that's more than 1,000 feet from my house. What are you talking about? But they've,
That,
but their proposal is to bring the sewer main all the way up to the homes. And there's already a water main that can be extended down into the properties
So
they develop.
okay.
they're suggesting that right now.
Yeah.
Which would
Yeah.
eliminate this here.
They're aware, it's not like they're gonna annex and then tomorrow say, hey, where's our sewer? They realize that they have to bring it to them.
Mhm.
And then we provide them with 5 connections by contract. We already have a contract.
We have to bring it to them.
We have a contract on 5 properties to provide sewer connection. But they have to bring the main to themselves and then we allow them to connect.
So that was the crux of my question that you just discussed. So they're not going to say, oh, we're 1,000 feet away from the water main. We want.
Oh, no.
We're gonna drill a well, or we're so many feet away
And-
from the sewer, we're gonna put in a septic tank.
Yeah.
I don't want that personally to happen. you know?
Right. Well, no, it's opposite. We have a contractual arrangement with them to provide sewer, which would also be required to develop, because if they subdivide any of those properties, septic won't work. They don't have the acre and a half.
Okay.
Right? And they need the sewer connections, and we've already when they gave that easement at the bottom of their property, the city
Right.
agreed to provide 5 connections, and the parcel numbers are identified, so it's those family members that they identified at the time. But they're also where they have to bring the sewer main
Okay.
up to the homes and then they all tie in.
I guess I was just looking for that assurance. That's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right. We did have that agreement when they gave us the easement across the bottom of their property.
Yeah.
That was part of the agreement, so.
And I think that's the engineer. He's just saying, here's a couple of things that might surface. Tonight, we don't have an annexation agreement in front of us, but it would be nice just to clarify all of those by the end of the process. Just as, just so we don't assume, oh, I thought you were gonna do this and
Could these concerns be spelled out in that agreement? I mean, just so that they're aware of it?
yeah, that's a Gary question. If we need,
There was 5 concerns from the engineer. Could they be part of the agreement?
Yes.
and if the annexation agreement's the best place to do
And
that.
there isn't any question that they're aware of them.
I mean, I think we're all on the same page with them anyway, so
Yeah,
Just-
we want to be black and white.
yeah, spell it out.
Yeah, that
Great.
would be fine.
We don't really discuss the intent of that property in this meeting, right?
No. No, this is the second step in the annexation process. Where Denise has to certify to you that the signatures on the annexation plat were correct and that they were the proper property owners. Really, that's all this is just kind of almost a formality. Then the next step, right now, you've got the rezone that's coming through at the same time, concurrent with the annexation. And then you'll also have an annexation hearing where you'll be able to consider all these issues. And at that time, we would bring an annexation agreement to you as well. We can put these items in it if you like. So everything's kind of moving forward, kind of in an order, and this is a next step. So
Yeah, I think they're good,
that's good input,
good questions heading into it, just so you're,
really good input.
you know what's coming.
Everybody in on this annex along 700 east up there, like the Rouser. Yeah.
Yep. Mhm. Yeah, so everybody on the south side of 700 East. Yep.
So,
So
yeah,
that's-
they all signed off on it, so.
Yeah.
Priest, Rouser, Priest and Christensen.
And that's really nice to see as well.
So, oh, I'm sorry. Mayor. Sure. Our motion would be what, to approve of the certification of annexation? That would be the motion.
I believe Denise, thus far you got all that you need. To, did,
This whole note got me the last of it, so I'm good now.
okay.
Back to the concerns, just, I'd like maybe, Ty, if you wouldn't mind, just a quick address for each one of them. I'd like to, on my part, just know how big of a concern it is.
Each one of the.
Yeah, well, we've talked about 2 of them, so the other 3.
Yeah, can you share your paper?
Yeah. The first 3.
Yeah, so this first one's talking about the bottom portion between the freeway and the river. So the other one would have a detention pond. No problem, just kind of like what's at the bottom of that subdivision, but on that lower property, about the only way to get the stormwater out would be to get it to the river. And so he's just bringing that up, and that's a future development concern more so than an annexation concern.
I think that'd be the same with number 2, the floodplain. That'd be future development.
Yep.
And it's all identified and
Yeah, and I think what he's doing, he's just pointing out that, if you annex the property, what's the potential future hurdles? Because that could influence your decision to annex or not. If you're like, well, that's not even developable property, or,
a good point.
what,
Well, and there's
what are we
some,
gonna do with it?
Being part of FEMA, there's some positions that we have to take on it too.
Mhm.
On it to participate in the program.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the landlocked part though, what's your thoughts on that? The landlocked property?
That's another development thing, just like, if a big chunk of property develops right there, we make them stub through, you do to and through. And so it's really just an awareness thing more than anything, because our development standards will take care of that issue all by itself. So, you know, if they subdivide and develop one, you know, into 4 different developments, we just make sure that the connectivity is there so that nobody ever gets blocked.
So I think that's another argument to have these part of the agreement so that, again, there's no misunderstanding.
Yeah, I think personally, I think the only things that need to be in the agreement are the things that we're requesting now, like the current sewer and water service. But all the future annexation or the future development stuff isn't really a condition of. If
Yeah, I
that
see
makes
what you're
sense.
saying. At the same time, if it is, I think my concern would be is just there a way to assure that they understand this? Or, I mean, maybe it's nothing more than a receipt of the engineer letter that they acknowledge.
Yeah. Well, you know, just a statement that says, you know, and we'll annex you into the city, but you'll be required to follow all city development standards at the point of development would probably suffice.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd maybe go just a little bit more to assure that
They're
they-
aware.
that they're aware of it some way,
Okay.
just up front. Then then it's,
You can put that together.
then there's no question.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, yeah, and I hear you. That maybe the agreement isn't the appropriate place, but somehow for them to acknowledge that we understand.
well, I just kind of view it as an arm's length.
Those
So at the
concerns.
point of development, the property's already sold. You know, somebody does whatever, you don't go back and say, hey, there's a condition of annexation that
Yeah, fair
you're not
enough.
even a part
Yeah.
of.
So I guess that's maybe a courtesy more than anything.
Yeah.
You now know that there's 5 concerns that we have.
If you don't de-annex it because they missed something, right?
Yeah. Or,
Yeah. But
anyway,
it's more notice than anything else, exactly what you said, David. That's
yeah, just-
where you're putting them on notice that these are the things that will come
Mhm.
up in the future.
and I think that the engineer's doing a good job of just letting us know these are things that
Sure.
should be on our mind about use of future property, whether we should annex it or not,
Mhm.
right? Like if it's all unusable, it
Right.
changes the whole.
Just a burden then,
Yes.
isn't it? Yeah.
So this is an existing sewer line, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
The blue one.
put this in a few years ago.
yep.
I guess there would, nothing that would preclude these property at some point in the future of making a roadway and running a water line that, which would open this up to development. Then you wouldn't have to worry about the interstate or the railroad tracks.
And we have,
Just a thought. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess that's a possibility, right?
yeah, it could happen in multiple ways, but it's definitely not an area that we can't service. It's got, you know, it's just like everywhere else. It's a timing and
Sure.
time and money scenario, what brings your utilities to your doorstep.
Are these maps for our use in this discussion here? Or do we have other discussion for them?
Those maps were sent with the memo from
It's part of this.
the engineer. They're
Okay.
part of that, but since it shows city lines and everything, I didn't want to put them because they're
Yeah. So, okay.
protected. I didn't want to put them out on the.
So it's
public.
part of the
The
discussion. we're having.
discussion.
I just
For your
wondered the
reference.
reason they're marked confidential.
Top secret.
Area 51.
No one makes a midnight connection.
Okay, I'll guard those for sure. I'll make sure they're kept top secret.
I think you're ready, aren't you?
Yep, that's all I have.
Fair to make a motion. Mayor, I will make a motion that we approve of the certificate of annexation. Petition for 54.36 acres of property located at approximately 555 West Old Highway Road, 936 North 700 East, 1075 North 700 East, and 1050 North 600 West, Morgan, Utah, as requested by Lisa C. Priest. That is my motion.
Second. Okay, we have a motion from Tony, a second from Jeff. Any more discussion?
I'd have just one question. Should does the certification need to be numbered? Like we do our resolutions and ordinances. Okay. If you had 10 of them in a year, it doesn't matter. Okay. Thank you.
We've kind of
Hey,
already had
Discussion.
All in favor?
Aye.
one of these in 10
Any
years.
opposed?
I just say, when was our last annexation?
Okay, Denise, that's unanimous. I've tried to track down. It's been a long time.
We had a request to go across the East Canyon Creek over to Milton here a few years ago, but then,
Yeah, that was long years ago.
well, maybe that.
I didn't have gray hair.
Maybe that dates me. I probably didn't.
Okay, council members, do you have any reports or anything you want to discuss? Okay, Tony?
I gotta say this. After harping on this for 2 years, I just want to say compliment the city and Kyle, let the staff know. I think our cemeteries look vastly improved. I think our park looks vastly improved. Walking past both of them the other day, I just well, I can say I'm proud of them again. So yeah, so I think we're definitely moving in the right direction there. So appreciate them and what's been done. So
I was able to see him and high five him because I got a compliment from nobody that ever compliments. They actually asked to be confidential on the compliment. They're not confidential on the complaint. And so, yeah, I said the same thing.
Yeah.
It looks much better.
that's special. Please let them know.
Will do. Thank you.
Is there more work to do? Are you where you want to be?
We've almost got our head above water, but we have a lot of the same issues still exist. We've just made a lot of headway on. But we're getting a couple new mowers with the right kind of deck and the right be able to go between headstones. In fact, the mower is a cemetery edition. It's kind of just diving in and getting a lot of things done, but we still have water pump issue at the South Cemetery but it's just been just a lot of manual labor and effort up till now, but we still have sprinkler issues, a leak that won't. I mean, it's just
The
Nightmares.
weather's been very
but
friendly.
we're trying to get it as good as we can before we shut it all down so that when we start in the spring, we don't get, so far behind. So, but yeah, we've got, I should mention too, we ended up. So, because we hired an extra person and the intent was to, have 3. And then Ty Lopshire resigned. At the same time, Clark's boy and my boy both work for the cemetery department, both seasonal part-time. So when he left, we went through the whole, do we have time? We asked around, all the staff and just looked to see who we could get, but by the time we did a recruitment, waited another 2 weeks, and then the likelihood, we did a recruitment earlier, and likelihood that we had candidates that we're going to tell them, and this job will last for a month and then you're done, was pretty low, but we have that help on board. So it's been good.
Starting next spring, you can ask the same thing, correct? For seasonal work.
Yeah, so he's making a staffing plan on, what we want to take care of ourselves, what we think, just a balance between that contract that we have, the equipment that we have, and then how much we can handle on our own. But we also are picking up new park space. So we have that Pheasant Run pond. We have some work to do over by the new bridge. So I think we'll shift our focus in more of improvements. And see what else we can get done with the staff that we have, but right now we're not sure on what the staffing plan is, if we just do another seasonal person or what, so.
Gary, could you get Memorial Day changed to the end of the season rather than the beginning? Yeah.
January.
Just don't put it, just,
In January.
just don't put it in July. It's too dry.
I have one other question concerning the cemetery. This is just my curiosity again. What are they doing up there on that? I call it the Newbold property or the Winchester property. Where they're digging into that hillside, getting fairly close to our cemetery up there in South Morgan. Have you seen that?
Yeah,
I mean, this is a question probably better for Jeff than anyone, but that soil there doesn't look horribly stable to me. I mean, that's not going to erode someday into our cemetery property, is it? Have you seen it?
No, I've not lately.
Looks to me like they're
What are
just
they-
Yes, at that time.
Just a mile slope.
If you get a minute, just drive up by there. It's just, that you know where I mean, it's Ron
Yeah.
Winchett right there. They've had an excavator in there and they've got a pretty good cut up there and it's going back towards that piece of property that we bought.
it was settling already.
So I walked by there a couple times too, and I thought, wow, I hope that doesn't erode back into our cemetery property, but do you know what they're doing there, what they're building there, Ty, or what's going
I
on?
don't know.
Pretty good cut,
Moving some dirt around as far as I
a
know.
lot. So anyway, just wondering, if you get a minute, take a look at it.
Ready to leave, Gary? Yeah, before the roads are bad.
Yeah, I'm
Thanks for
heartbroken.
being with us.
We have the settlement agreement, I think that's.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you, Gary.
remember this early one.
Probably.
Yeah. See ya. Good night.
Okay. Ty, bring us up to date.
Okay, so the Turner ditch project, we've bid that out. We got a bond from the developer for that project. The bid came in at 14,100. And so we'll get that ditch piped as part of that settlement agreement.
All right.
We'll get that part done. We also met with the developer on his final punch list and went back and forth on a handful of items, but we came to an agreement. So when he puts in for conditional, there's going to be a few things that we're going to propose. We take conditional, even though there's some items that won't be done till spring, just because it's a bad time of year to chip a road or
So when does the warranty?
hasn't even started.
pass
So,
out?
Yeah, once we do conditional, then it starts the 1 year
Okay.
clock, but that's where we're at on that.
Does he bond for any of that?
It's all bonded,
The
all the improvements and the 10%.
additional work that you're postponing, that's bonded for. too.
Yeah, so what happens is we just release all of this, all the items that have been done, we release that portion of the bond and we retain what
I
hasn't been
gotcha.
done.
Yeah, makes sense. So we've still got the money there.
Yeah, just in case something else happens. I just kind of gave the personnel update on the parks and cemetery staff. And then we did, our building cleaner also left and our new cleaning service just started tonight. So we're, it's Ashley Thurston.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and she runs her own cleaning company, and so we're pretty excited to have kind of that new perspective. And
She lives in Morgan?
yeah, she lives in Morgan.
She doesn't have to travel a lot.
Yep, so then just the other thing on here, just the business trick or treat on October 31st. People keep asking what day it's gonna be, but Chamber doesn't change. They're not, nobody's really in charge of it. All they do is put the word out, but nobody has a reason to change the day of Halloween. Yeah, so we'll do it on.
We're trying.
I mean, they've done it before when businesses aren't open, you know, on a Sunday or whatnot, just because it is a business community thing, but yeah, so that's happening. We did have the ribbon cutting ceremony for McDonald's that went well. Appreciate Jeff and Dave being there. It was kind of a fun party. They had the band and some giveaways, and they're giving a lot of free meals away, so it was packed in there.
I was asked to,
Free meal if you want that.
yeah, free Big Mac. Ty was asked to speak on behalf of the city and did a good job too. I don't know if I've commented on that or not, but
CNN later on that night.
represented the city well.
I won't comment on how I made CNN. Anyway,
I did get my free meal, by the way.
you didn't? It's okay.
What
You're-
kind was it? Cheeseburger, Big Mac, or fish fillet?
I don't know. I didn't get.
They gave you nuggets or a Big Mac
Nuggets.
or,
A double cheeseburger nuggets or a Big Mac.
Drink.
yeah. And Tony's heart couldn't handle it anyway. She's okay.
My wife was there, so I couldn't have anything, so.
Yeah, yeah, you had to be on your best behavior.
So just for the council's feedback, I didn't mention this at the thing. I just thank them for working with. They were really easy to work with in this entire process, and all of our requirements were met. They never once, I didn't say this, but they never once asked why, you know, why do you have to have more space for the road? Why do you, they just really did a good job of
Additional landscaping we asked.
make it all tie together. It ties together with Ridley's real nice.
You mentioned that in your sheet.
Yeah, but I didn't,
It's
It's a
It's-
friend.
it's what, man, Watkins.
Watson.
Watson Management, and that's their 25th store.
yeah, they own the one in Park City and Heber.
Well, I heard it straight from
Yeah, it was
Mr. Watson
25th.
himself. It was their 25th store.
But what I didn't mention in there is we actually got a compliment from their developer here. So at the last minute, when they were trying to get occupancy, they had to bond for the landscaping and Denise was out of town, so it was everything was falling apart here because we're like, we don't know how to do any cash bonding. We never do that. But anyway, we apologize because we were confused on what form and what to require of them. And he said, don't you apologize for a thing. You're by far the best city we've ever worked with.
That's fun.
And so kudos to our staff for that whole process, because we don't, no, you know, it's like that anonymous comment. No developer is going to tell you you were easy to work with. It's always like, you're always harder than the last city I worked with, right? But
Yeah.
that's the type of developers they were. So we
Projects they want to do in Morgan.
yeah, yeah, it was
I kind of like that comeback you had when you said something. You said the only thing that could have been better is if we would have had, if the golden arches would have been maroon.
Yeah.
And he says, yeah, but it's M for Morgan
Morgan,
anyway.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was
Maybe
good.
instead of
Ty.
McDonald's under, they could put
I
Morgan.
was surprised the sign wasn't taller.
Yeah.
yeah. It's all right. I think people, somebody, I did hear a complaint, like their sign is so small, and my comment was did they have a hard time finding it?
Yeah.
And they didn't. If they were staring at the sign, they found it, right?
Count your blessings, huh?
Yeah. So this, I think this is, I don't know if that's in the packet or not, for our street scan project.
I didn't see it.
It's on the screen.
Okay.
So thanks for pulling that up, Denise. Anyway, it's that we signed up for this quite a few months ago, and they're finally coming. So on the 16th, they're going to start scanning our streets. So if you see their little scooters and car driving around, they'll scan the sidewalks and the streets. They're building us a database of the conditions of all of our drive surfaces. And then they have this flyer. So if anybody stops or if they're curious, they'll hand them something, do a little bit of public outreach, but just so you're aware, in case you get some calls or
And in all these cities, you don't know how to work it.
the scanners. Yeah,
They're not taking pictures of elevations of buildings, then just dealing with the roads in particular. Okay.
they take pictures and scan, and they measure the depth of everything as well, and then show you where your cracks and
Mhm.
alligator cracking and all of that.
Show
And-
future water leaks.
Future water leaks, no. It'll show water leak damage. But it'll all get mapped and so we'll have a real good inventory of where things are at. And then one of the nice things is on the back end, we'll have, here's a road condition and it'll just, we can assign it a number, but we'll be able to, as a
Prioritize.
council, prioritize for one, but then also say, what is the expectation? Do we want 8s out of 10s? Or do we want 6s out of 10s?
Sure.
What's our target so that we can every year start to budget towards,
Each one will have a cost, won't it?
yeah, exactly. And then we can start budgeting towards whatever that number we feel like is our number. We can budget towards it and, you know, take the low, put projects together. So anyway, that's awesome. We're starting this little water right project. So I reached out to make sure on this North Morgan that we got the water rights transferred at the state engineer's office, got those water rights put in our name correctly. That hasn't been done yet. We do have the deed, like we have it ourselves, but so I've enlisted some additional water right attorney help to get those cleaned up. And we have a report on all of our water rights that need adjustments. One, so we keep them, and two, so our records are adequate, or up to date. So we'll be spending some money on water right attorneys, but it'll be, I think, in our best interest to get that. Yeah.
Get it taken care of.
Yeah, and then one of the things they let us know is there was some legislative change about after a certain date, I think after November, then cities aren't going to be allowed to apply for reuse, reusing water rights. So I think that they're trying to say if you haven't put them to beneficial use, then you can't, you know, they're gonna start having those, yep, they're gonna have those start lapsing. And so so we're glad we found out about that. We're gonna have them do our application before that deadline so that we have.
So would we have any in that category?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, we have water out there that we haven't applied to a specific source or a specific property. But it's there for, you know, as we grow. So
What will cities do then that lose their water?
the state will reallocate it or keep it or. Mhm.
They can give it back, I guess.
Mhm. Not likely. Yeah, they're really just getting heavy on the, you know, the state needs to
Send
start
it down
taking
the
water
road.
back. Yeah,
Yeah.
water rights, because, you know. Anyway, that's. We'll see some bills there, just to make you aware of, and then. Just a transaction to be aware of is, so we have that $4 million bond that we did for the bridge, and we're gonna draw down about 2.4 million of that. And it'll go into our capital improvement fund. The county has an agreement through COG to pay $1.25 million of that bond payment. So pretty much half of what we draw down. Will
Get settled?
it's still working its way onto the agenda.
Really?
We're working on it. It's getting close. I talked to.
Is that a change from the original intent?
Yeah, the original was $1 million. It was up to $1 million after the
$1 million help from the COG,
COG, and we upped it to 1.25 million.
and we're good, or everybody's good with that.
The COG recommended it to the,
Uh-huh.
and
They have to approve it though.
they have to approve it, but they have adequate new revenue from the local option sales taxes and whatnot.
To put towards it.
And before they weren't sure about their money, because at that point it was just an estimate. Now they actually have.
That motion was made at the last COG meeting, by the way, Dave, so that was almost a month ago.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So if they delay again, I'll just add another $250,000 to the, I'm just kidding.
See, a motion, was it accepted?
The motion to take.
Yeah, the COG recommend, yeah.
COG recommended it to the county. The county now has to put it on the agenda. and
Oh, I
pass it.
see. And
But
then,
like I said, it was.
Yeah. And Denise has
Yeah.
done a great job. She reworded the agreement. we have it in resolution format. It's really just waiting for their agenda to
Right.
go move it.
Yeah,
So,
that's good news.
but anyway, we'll have that transaction happen and then, we're planning another kind of large road project in the spring, which will take care of a handful of different areas in town, but we're gonna make one big project out of it to make use of some of the rest of that bond money or a good portion of it and just use our local option sales tax as the rest of our payment for there. So it's, that's kind of the plan, but we'll probably talk about that more in the budget season. So.
I've just got one little heads up. I went to the safety meeting at the school today and they're gonna start to sort of have some rehearsals on if there's a fire or
The drills.
shooter. And the city will participate in some of that with barricades and block off with the lights going and things like that, that they're gonna figure out sort of a plan, but so the city would be the first touch of a mama bear trying to find her kid. So but it'll be interesting, but they are gonna do that monthly. Just to get the plan. And also to have the kids aware that we're practicing to help. So we have 3 fire stations. Wasatch Peaks was the only one that showed up to the meeting. The other 2, Mountain Green and Morgan, didn't make it over, but
3 districts.
yeah, 3 districts.
Gotcha.
So it'll be good. I think these schools are in pretty good shape, but the Mountain Green ones, if we happen to have a 20-degree day and there's a fire, kids usually come in shorts and tennis shoes.
Yeah.
And because you got to get them off the pavement and they don't really have a Trojan Center to put everybody in. So they're working on a plan to get the buses there in a hurry so that they could move them to either a church house or the other school. But it's pretty eye-opening. But the one thing that's great is we have 2 in and outs.
Yeah.
That makes it a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
So that's all I had. Any more?
Ty, you mentioned this a minute ago, and so I was just curious again, were they hydro seeded off of the bridge over there? They put that hydro seeding in. I think you meant, that is ours then, right? I mean, that's our responsibility to keep that. Okay, I've thought so.
And this,
And then I get asked this the other day again. So next spring, we hope to be able to go from the end of Commercial Street over to the bridge with a trail, correct? Is that okay? So the kids, if they want to walk to school that way, don't have to, they can go on a trail. Okay.
yep, that's what we're working on. So.
There's
Okay.
still grant money out there for trails probably.
So we still have 78,000 in grant for that trail for in the spring. We're working on an application for another trail grant. There is money out there, but yes, but we're working on our next application to do some other trail improvements. So the county, the school district, when they make that overflow parking lot by your house, they're gonna install that trail for us. So when they do that parking lot, they're gonna, it'll be just a dirt path, but that trail will connect back up to 100 South.
Did I see they started
Between those
off-
homes.
Did I see they started?
So,
That's
yeah, so then like from 100 South, you can walk on that trail and get back to the ball games and
That's cool.
and if someone else complains about parking, they can park at my house and walk after the trail's built.
Just kind of an update on the last COG meeting. A lot of it had to do with parking.
Yeah.
The mayor just went to a football game and apparently got chewed out all night long. people were upset they couldn't park on the street there, Jeff, your street. So there was a lot of discussion, but Andy Jensen, the school superintendent, mentioned that they're gonna move the tennis court. That then will become parking. And then there's that,
Handicap parking, yeah.
and then there's that parking lot that's going to be over there, kind of behind you over that way. Anyway, so my response to people now, when they ask me why they can't park on the street and there's no parking over there as well, just be patient, because apparently there's going to be more parking become available in the future, so.
Yeah, and that turns into a safety issue.
It's a huge safety issue, so, yeah. Anyway, that
I
was,
defended you, by the way.
Appreciate it. Can you imagine cars parked over there now with that speedway? You may get run over. for sure.
Okay, well,
But I think that parking lot's coming along, they're gonna be pretty close. I think John Wilkes is putting in stuff for it. I think
is it gonna be a roto mail?
is he working on it right now? Are they working on it over there?
they've done a little bit.
Yeah.
They started hauling the mailing in
Okay.
there. Here in the week, I think he said.
Okay, well, I
Well,
move that we
that's-
adjourn.
Meeting. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Denise, I tried to make it go the full hour.